All right, baby. We are live. We're letting it breathe. We know there's a very crucial, super important game happening right now. So, those of you who are going to be with us tonight, we appreciate you dividing your attention a little bit. But we do have some stuff to talk about. The Los Angeles Chargers, Zach, just sacked Drake May on third down. So the Patriots about to punt. Welcome in, everybody. It's the Mile High Huddle podcast. I'm your host, Chad Jensen. With me, my fellow football priest. You know him. You love him. Zack Kelberman. Zach, if the Chargers do not prevail today on the road, Gillette Stadium, Patriots, we now know it's going to be the Buffalo Bills the Broncos would host because they're the sixth seed. They prevailed earlier today against the Jaguars, who have to now console themselves finding things to do in the offseason in a small market.
Yeah. Yeah, I love the fact that they celebrated their Super Bowl in Week 16, all to get eliminated at home in the wild card round. So, good job to Liam Cohen, but the Broncos will be playing next week. So, yeah, in terms of the opponents, it's down to 2 now, and I'm down for either. Chad, personally, I kind of want the playoff rematch against Josh Allen. I don't think they're as strong as they were last year. I want to avenge that game, but part of me also wants to prove that Bo Nix and Sean Payton can beat Harbaugh and Herbert at full strength. So that's it right now, and we're just waiting to see the winner of tonight's game.
And it just barely got started. So let's see what's on everybody's mind here. We got Sam Bam checking in. Great to see you, pal. And by the way, tomorrow night we are unveiling the full list with the graphic of the 2025 MHH Super Chat Superstar Mount Rushmore. 20 people from last year, the 20 most, what's the way to put it, generous supporters of MHH end up on the Mount Rushmore. And it's not picking and choosing. It's all based on people's support. And so we always look forward to that. And this time around, we're thinking up some fun stuff to do to reward the folks who made it. Actually, we know who it is. We have the list, but we're waiting until tomorrow to unveil the graphic. But some give back stuff happening tomorrow. So stay tuned for that, Sam, and everybody else. Thank you for the super. Thank you for being a member, bro. He says, evening, guys. Well, we will know our opponent by the end of the day. I hope the Broncos play Saturday because they'll play either the Bills or the Chargers on a short week. Regardless, we'll be ready. Go Broncos. Yeah, dude. I don't know. Do you think the NFL would do that to the Chargers, make them play 5 days later?
I think the game will be Saturday, by the way. That's what I've been hearing. Probably Saturday night. Even though the Broncos are the 1 seed, it's the way it shakes out with the opponent. So yeah, Sam, it's looking like you're gonna get your wish, a Saturday game, and I'm with you on that. Either I know the bugaboo with beating Herbert and Harbaugh and the Chargers, but I think the Broncos will be prepared this time, and also the Bills. If it comes down to a field goal, Chad, all we got to do is hope it goes wide right because it will. I don't think Allen is gonna come up clutch in the postseason this time. But thank you so much, Sam.
Yeah, brother. Really, really appreciate you all year long, and it continues into 2026, buddy. Thank you. It's going to be fun to see how tonight shakes out. My worst, I shouldn't say worst fear because that makes it sound like I'm genuinely afraid. The two teams I wanted to see the least, Zach, by order of how I ranked the 4 possible opponents, are the 2 teams now basically left that could make it, and that's the Bills and the Chargers. But I think you're right, Zach. Watching that whole game today, the Bills certainly had some moments, and there was some clutch stuff that happened late in that game, but they're not the massive juggernaut that they were a year ago. And in Denver's house with the Broncos model of kind of keeping things close, letting that defense do its thing, hopefully some takeaways come Denver's way, let Bo Nix do what he does in the fourth quarter. I think it could play into the model. I'm not as anxious, I guess I should say, about the Bills as I was even a couple weeks ago. But still, man, that wild card loss last season. I mean, all the wild card games so far, Zach, this year have been down to the wire games, and that one obviously was not.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be a blowout by any means if the Bills came to town. And the Chargers, listen, I know I've also built them up like the boogeyman. They didn't blow the Broncos out when they met in week 3, whatever it was. They won on the last second field goal. The Broncos can definitely beat them. So regardless, like Sam was saying there, I think the Broncos are in a good situation because any opponent's coming to Denver, they've had a week of rest, and they better be ready for it.
No doubt about it. Anyway, Sam, thank you, pal. Again, great to have you. We got Eric Holt in the house. What's going on, big dog? Says, can you smell it? a playoff home game on Saturday night. As far as opponents, I want to see LA instead of the Bills. Something about the Bills. NOB. I'm not sure what that means, Zach. Do you know what that means?
Mm-mm.
The Eagles need to trade Brown and hire McDaniels as OC. Go Broncos. Yeah, the Eagles, Zach, couldn't quite get past the Niners in their own house.
Yeah.
So not going to be a back-to-back world champion no matter what.
I think you could trace the start of the Eagles' downfall back to that Broncos game, Chad, when the Broncos came back. I mean, 2 touchdowns in the fourth quarter, 2-point conversion. I don't want to say single-handedly it was the Broncos, but it's been a slow churning down to mediocrity from the reigning Super Bowl champions. Thank you, Eric.
But, Eric, how cool is that going to be, bud? Hosting a playoff game in the divisional round. It's literally been 10 years, exactly a decade. You know, my daughter was 6. No, she was 5. My daughter was 5. My youngest Theo wasn't even alive yet, wasn't even born yet. He's a twinkle in his old man's eye. A lot of waters passed under the bridge. So we don't want to take this for granted. And I know the Broncos aren't. I thought it was interesting on Friday, Zach. You know, this is our first chance to podcast together since Sean Payton's presser on Friday. And I thought it was kind of cool how at the end of his time at the podium, he basically, I mean, we don't necessarily need to read the whole thing, but he basically, Zach, doubled down on what he had said during the summer about Super Bowl and how this team is special, basically saying that he feels the same way today. He feels that hasn't changed, so to speak. And, you know, hey, 17 games later, the Broncos won 14. He should be sticking to his guns on that, but he made sure to get that message out there loud and clear.
I like what he said about getting the 1 seed too. He says they're not like car wash coupons. They're really hard to come by in this business. And he's right. So for any critic who's talking about they're fraudulent, they scrape by the skin of their teeth, they don't deserve to be the 1 seed. Well, they are. They won 14 games and they earned that right. And I'm happy that Sean Payton kind of fired back at the skepticism surrounding that.
No doubt about it. Some shout outs to the members in the Hizzy, like Jordan Lewis. What's up, buddy? He says, so far these playoff games have been really good. That they have. Pro 16, I want the Bills just for revenge. And this time you're coming to our house. Go Broncos. I like it. Pro 16 also says, come on, New England. Finish off them Bolts. NOB means none of my business. I see what you mean. Got you, buddy. Thank you. Appreciate the clarity there. David Youngkin says, Eagles and Niners, neither look good today, but the Niners won. Yeah, man, I'm happy to see Kyle Shanahan get a little bit of triumph. You know, he's one of those guys as a head coach that's dealt with a lot of injury misfortune over the years. He's been a guy who's gotten so close, Zach, but no cigar. And because of the Shanahan name, I always kind of sympathize with him. I don't really care about the Niners, obviously, but I always have a little bit of sympathy. I like to see Kyle Shanahan do well. So I was happy to see it shake out that way.
He's a hell of a football coach, too. I know he's kind of an ornery personality, but great offensive mind. Christian McCaffrey, there's an alternate universe where Christian McCaffrey scoring playoff touchdowns in Denver, his hometown Denver Broncos. I like a lot of the players they have there as well, Chad. Brock Purdy gets a lot of crap like Bo Nix, but all he does is find a way to win. I think they are a very sneaky team in the NFC.
It's like Scott says here in our private chat, the Niners are decimated by injuries and lost George Kittle today. They had no business winning 12, nor winning that game today. So they're playing with house money. I think they know it, but sometimes those are the most dangerous teams. You know, that's just the truth of it oftentimes. All right, we also have checking in here, Boot Boy, the Chaos Josh checking in, dude. Great to see you. A dear member, a bona fide superstar, saying, surreal feeling to be the first seed, waiting to see who we're going to play. I'm enjoying every minute of this season after the blur that's been the last 9. Hashtag took the 60 bus out of downtown Campbell. Benzonato, he was on there. He was waiting for me. Rancid. All right. A little punk rock poetry. But yeah, Zach, savor it, man. It's a great time to be a Broncos fan.
And it's incredible. I'm right there with you, Josh, this weekend, just watching the games carefree, knowing the Broncos are on a bye and setting up the Broncos' next opponent next weekend. It's fun for now, but obviously when it comes playoff time in the divisional round, no matter who they're playing, they have to be ready. But we're all confident they will. Thank you for the super.
It's great to see you, brother. And always the punk rock and Rancid references. I'm here for it. You know this, bro. Ronk's in the house too, saying good evening, Chad and Zach on the MHH podcast. Go Bo Broncos. I want to give some shouts to Mike Thompson's in the house. Good to see you. We also have Isaiah. Is it Isaiah Rico? Isaiah Rico? Is there? I think so. Either way, hey, buddy, thank you for being a member. Chargers of Bills. Let's do it, baby. I'm ready. I think the Broncos are going to be ready too. Shout out to Pearls in the house. Great to have you guys. We have a lot more that we're going to be getting to tonight. I mean, we're just getting started. Now, look, it's a big game. People are going to want to watch this game. And again, as I said at the top of the show, those of you who are dividing your attention a little bit to participate in tonight's podcast while also watching the game, we appreciate you. But get your questions, your topics, any supers like that, get them in early because we might keep it a little tight tonight to be able to watch that game. But guys, before we go on further, listen, have you heard of Goldbelly? It's this amazing site that I order from all the time where you can actually get the most iconic, famous foods from restaurants all across the United States, and it's perfect for game day, Valentine's Day, which is coming up, or anything else you have going on. It's seriously amazing, guys. Goldbelly will ship you iconic Chicago deep dish pizza from Lou Malnati's, the original Buffalo wings from the Anchor Bar in Buffalo, Guy Fieri's unbelievable trash can nachos, legendary, plus real Philly cheesecakes, even the legendary Franklin's barbecue, straight from the actual place in Texas to your door. And with Valentine's Day coming up, Goldbelly also has great gifts like award-winning dinners from Peter Luger Steakhouse and bunch of other stuff, including, Zach, the exact cake that was served at JFK's wedding to Jackie O.
That's right. And the Philly cheesesteak really caught my eye. It was absolutely delicious. It was high quality grub delivered right to my door, and it lived up to the lofty expectations I had and the legend of the Philly cheesesteak. It was like having a culinary piece of Philadelphia stripped to me hassle-free. Sometimes you don't know what you're going to get quality-wise from food ordering sites, but Goldbelly absolutely delivers. This tasted amazing. So whether you're looking to turn game day into an unforgettable experience with friends or want to impress a loved one on Valentine's Day, go to goldbelly.com and get 20% off your first order with promo code MILEHIGH. That's goldbelly.com, code MILEHIGh for 20% off your first order.
All right, guys, we go back to the conversation. Some other hellos. Mark on Facebook, good to see you, pal. Pearl says, I watched last night's pod later. I was busy. It was great. Oh, fun. Awesome. Yeah, it's always great. I've been holding down the fort on Saturday nights with Ron because Dylan's been out of commission for a little while on Saturday nights, and it's always fun to chit-chat with Ron and you guys. It's a blast. Mike Reno, thanks for coming on tonight, Chad, Zach, and Scott, with the game on and all. Any chance Drew Sanders dresses next week? Zach, that's some of the news that we have yet to share. I guess I got to talk about it a little bit last night, but the community's yet to hear your take on this. The Broncos started the clock on Drew Sanders yesterday, so he's been designated to return from IR. What do you expect to see from him, if anything, this week, divisional round?
I don't appreciate the question, Mike. I'm not sure if Sanders is going to dress this week, this coming game, or he's going to wait until the championship round. They still have to sign him, activate him to the 53. They've designated him to return, but he's been out of commission for so long. He hasn't taken a snap this season. He was hurt in training camp and has been shelved on IR ever since. I kind of look at him like an A.T. Perry, where do we question whether he exists, what he's going to serve the team, the utility he's going to bring to the team. I'll say this, if he does play and whatever the Broncos can get from Drew Sanders would be a bonus, but if they can get something, it'd be pretty useful with Dre Greenlaw also coming back from a hamstring injury of his own.
No doubt about it. By the way, Drake May just got picked off. Chargers have the ball on the 10, and we're kind of getting to see what Drake May looks like tested against a quality team, which was pretty rare this season. What was it, 2 teams, Zach, that they played this year that finished with a plus 500 record? They did win one of them, but I think both were divisional against Buffalo.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of ball game left. Hopefully it comes down to the wire. But yeah, he's being tested tonight. That's kind of why I don't want to see that Chargers defense again, Chad. You can say what you want about them, but they are fierce.
They are, man. And Derwin James flying around making plays. He's a problem. All right, guys. Rodney says, did anyone see that block from Jacoby Myers on Bosa? Yes, I did. It was pretty sweet. but unfortunately going to be watching from here on out. Yeah, this is a bummer. George Kittle went down today, but suffered a torn Achilles. So he's done for the Niners this year, Zach, and that's a long road back, anyone who suffers an Achilles. So thoughts and prayers up to the big guy. Also, hey, look, we got Jab 3030 in the house. What's up, bro? I know who you is. Hey, guys, hope all is well. It's great to see you, a dear member. Zach, when you were watching the Bills earlier today, watching the Bills against the Jaguars, what was the biggest what do you think is the biggest threat the Bills present in terms of the Broncos if they end up being the team that makes the trip for the divisional round? What is it about the Bills that worries you?
It's the same thing that worried me last game, and that would be James Cook and the rushing offense. And also what Josh Allen can do as a rusher. He had that long tush push, that long quarterback sneak. He's still tough to bring down. Him as a passer, he's not as imposing to me. The Bills aren't as imposing as a team overall, but that rushing offense and what Joe Brady's done, the offensive coordinator there, yeah, it gutted the Broncos last time, and it can hurt them again in this matchup next week.
We have checking in from the tippity top rope. In fact, way higher than the top rope. From the MHH Mount Rushmore, you got to peer through the clouds and you will see Michaela as she descends on down, dropping some knowledge. Love you, Michaela. So much. She says, I have a feeling that we will get stuck playing Buffalo. We'll get bounced twice from the same team, or even worse, from the Chargers. Michaela, Zach, we got to do our part as her football priest here to help instill some confidence in the Broncos moving forward. Those are two teams over the last two seasons, we'll call it, since the Bo Nix era began, both the options, guys, that are now alive to potentially face the Broncos next week are two teams, the Broncos, of all the success they've had, 24 games, these are two teams, Zach, with not a lot to show for it when they've had to go up against them. So what's your message here for the Duchess?
In fairness to Michaela, I don't know how much we could really say to make her feel better. I think she just wants the Broncos to go out there and make her feel better, Chad. She wants the Broncos to put it all together in a game and not have to play fourth quarter comeback mode or have one side of the ball carry the other. So I understand Michaela's viewpoint there. But Michaela, and thank you so much for the super and your generosity as always. We need not to assume the Broncos are going to get eliminated. How about no matter who they face, the Broncos are going to go on to the AFC Championship and host that game as well. They are tough matchups, but the Chargers, they're not infallible. They're plenty fallible. You can beat them. The Broncos were this close away from beating them. Buffalo's not the same team. Josh Allen's not the same quarterback. I don't believe in Sean McDermott. They've been historically playoff chokers. If they can just contain James Cook, like I was mentioning, and the rushing offense, the Broncos can spring an upset there. It's a much bigger difference playing the Bills in Buffalo versus playing the Bills in Denver. That is massive. That's why you earn the number one seed. So don't feel like all hope is lost. In fact, I'm very confident that no matter who the Broncos will face, either of these teams, they're going to come away with a W next week.
One loss, 8-1. Broncos this year with the uneven schedule, right? 17 games. So 1 year you'll be home for 9 games, on the road 8. And then that reverses. So this year, the Broncos were home 9 times, which helped contribute to the 14-3 record. At home, the Broncos lost once. They were 8-1. That one loss came on the heels of a extremely strenuous, long, withering 11-game winning streak. They finally gave up the ghost to the small market Jags, and then they got back on the horse. So at home, that's true, Michaela, what Zach just said. The Broncos are a different team at home. And I think Broncos country, man, going to be out in force for this one. It's going to be loud. It's going to be wild. And I think the team itself, Sean Payton, is going to have these guys ready for not just, I'm not, Zach, just talking scheme, X's and O's. I just mean like heart, intensity level. That's where things really change in the playoffs, is that levels of intensity go many notches higher. And last season, the Broncos just couldn't sustain that level of that intensity, but they're a much more battle-tested, experienced team now. I like them at home against either of these teams.
And you just asked me, what did I notice when I watched the Bills game earlier? I noticed that the Jaguars should have won it. I noticed the Jaguars choked that game away. They went full Reggie Miller and just went, and then gave that game up. So if the Jaguars can take Buffalo down to the wire and rightly should have won that game in Jacksonville, Michaela, let's bring this to Denver in the elements and Mile High and see what they can do there. I think it's going to be working in the Broncos' favor. Please, let's be a little positive. But thank you so much for the super.
So the Chargers did not capitalize on the pick. Go for it on fourth down on like the whatever it was, 2 or 3 yard line. They get stuffed, turn it over on downs. First down, Drake May, little dump off over the middle, goes for 50 yards from his own 2 to the 50-yard line. So now the Patriots are cooking. It was looking not good for him for a second there, but now they're cooking, Zach. So this is going to be a game. It's going to go down to the wire. And I'm having fun watching Drake May be tested a little bit. I'm not trying to be a smart aleck making it sound like he's not legit. He's absolutely legit. But there's still a lot we don't know about this kid relative to facing the best of the best. And, do you thrive in these situations? And so far, he's kind of hot and cold relative to answering those questions. Little good, little bad.
I've learned my lesson of making predictions in real time and not letting things play out and speaking with my emotions. I will say this, though. I think Stafford is your NFL MVP, and he proved that last night. Drake May, terrific player, fantastic season, but Stafford's your MVP. Just as a quick little aside.
There you go. Anyway, Michaela, it's going to be fun. This is a different Broncos team. I mean, last year, you want to talk about that feeling and the spirit of playing with house money. I mean, the Broncos were literally the last team to clinch a playoff berth. They entered the playoffs as the 7 seed. Just kind of happy to be there, if we're being honest. Like even Sean Payton, of course, he's never going to project that. He's always going to make it sound like, yeah, this was the plan and we made it to the tournament. Now anything's possible. And it's true that anything is possible, but you could kind of tell, Zach, that just getting there last year was kind of the achievement. This year, and even Sean Payton, I'll see if I can find the exact quote, but he talked about, here it is. So he said, first of all, it's hard to ever anticipate winning the 1 seed. There's a lot that goes into that. Last year was a year that said, hey, we belong here and we can win. There was a lot of confidence gained in the season. So then after last season, I think the expectations rose internally as well as externally. You've heard me say the first goal is to win the division. Well, that's pretty defined. That means you come in first. And then it's secure the best seed, because that's a little bit less defined, meaning you don't have as much control over that. The best seed that you can, and then try to win a championship. So it's much harder to predict how many wins, what seed. You just want to be in the tournament and find a way to, with all due respect, beat a team like Kansas City that sat atop the division for quite a while here. So, Zach, real quick, you can tell that's something he's pretty dang proud of, right? And that, for a long time, just vanquishing the Chiefs in the division, that was something that he fought hard for, long and hard for. A lot of sacrifices, a lot of blood, sweat, and tears. But at the end of this line is where he said, so some of what he said last summer about the Broncos being special, this 2025 team, and having some Super Bowl aspirations, he said some of it was based on the experience of some of the guys they signed in free agency. And I feel the same way now, he said, close quote.
The hope for last season was the expectation for this season. It was not just getting a winning record or sneaking in. It was winning the division, then going from there. And that's why he quickly corrected a reporter a few months ago, Chad, when the reporter erroneously said that was your number one goal, right? It was to win the AFC West or get in the playoffs. No, it was to win the number 1 seed and then get in the Super Bowl and then win the freaking Super Bowl. So the Broncos are well on that path.
We got Tucson Phil checking in. Great to see you, buddy. Thank you. He says, good evening, Chad, Zach, and Deacon Scott. Bring them on. Don't care who it is. We will be ready. Buckham, MHH for life, Broncos for life. Yeah, buddy. Thank you. Appreciate the spirit. We will be ready. I agree with you, bud. I think the Broncos are good to go. But always, Zach, good to hear from Tucson Phil.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Phil.
Okay. Where are we at? We're at about 24 minutes. We're doing pretty good time-wise. Ronk says the Broncos defense are a good run defense team. So that plays into, some trickery. Nope, couldn't connect. That plays into, Zach, the Bills, as you mentioned, being such a good rushing offense. This is a tough defense, the Broncos, to run against, but it really comes down to, in the playoffs or any game, but especially in the playoffs, the trenches, it's a matter of will. It's that want to. And do the Broncos have the will to win? The Buffalo Bills are uniquely, we can say what we want about them, Zach, struggling to get over the hump. Sean McDermott can't win the big one. Josh Allen, can't win the big one, et cetera, et cetera. But, that's why to them, the intensity right now is insane. They don't know how many more bites at the apple they're going to get. I mean, Josh is still young and everything, Zach, but my point is this team as is, So a lot of momentum that they're feeling, a lot of inspiration, that intensity, that want to, and that literally plays out in the trenches in the run game. And I think the Broncos can stand up to it.
The Broncos were a good team against the run last season too. They were a good defensive team last season too, and then Buffalo just took them behind the woodshed. So yeah, I agree with what you're saying there, Chad. That on any given Sunday, it doesn't matter how good you are, what you've done in the regular season. The playoffs are a different animal, and I don't know that the Broncos in this season to this point have faced a running back like James Cook. So that's the number one goal I would feel is to shut down James Cook in that rushing offense.
Todd Ostendorf says, we finally got our QB and head coach. They got this. What's so exciting about your 14-win Broncos, getting the 1 seed and all that, is you've got your head coach locked in for the next several years, second-year quarterback, Zach. And then when you look across the roster at all the guys that are key, whether it's offensive line locked in for the foreseeable, whether it's Cortland Sutton locked in, even Evan Ingram, depending on how important he ends up being to the master plan, under contract after this season. Other side of the ball, basically the whole defensive line except JFM, Greenlaw, Hufanga, Surtain. They're going to have some decisions to make about Riley Moss after next year and a few other guys, Jaquan McMillan, etc. But all the key guys, Zach, for the most part, they're young and they're under team control for the foreseeable future. And last thing, Broncos have a relatively full stock of draft picks, and they're going to have about 35 million in cap space.
Not to mention their ownership situation is settled and one of the best in the league. Their general manager is in place, and I think they're going to reward him with an extension because I believe he's coming up to the final year of his contract in 2026. So every major facet and organizational component is already in place, from the quarterback and the head coach, the GM on down. That's why you saw on the field the results, 14 wins.
Amen to that. Okay, real quick. Michaela jumping in. Sorry, Scott, hit it. Michaela jumping in again. The Duchess saying, how can we win without a run game? Harvey sucks as an RB1. It's hard to this is the one thing, as I've said. Well, first of all, let me bring it back to what Sean Payton said on Friday. When they got together, the whole team had been off Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Friday, they had an OTA type practice, according to Sean Payton, inside the indoor facility. But the entire focus of those sessions was on the situational football, third down, red zone. Both sides of the ball have regressed in that regard since week 16, Zach. And I'm getting to your point here, Michaela, trust. 2-minute drill. So Sean Payton's really trying to keep the Broncos not only sharp situationally, but really trying to improve and get to the bottom, Zach, of how and why they started to regress a little bit in those key areas. Again, both sides of the ball. I think all three of those are going to be fine in the playoffs, but the run game still worries me. When you talk about third down efficiency, it's one of the beautiful things about football is how symbiotic every aspect of the game is. If you're only picking up 1-2 yards on first down, 1-2 yards on second down, etc., it sets up and creates often, Zach, a lot of third and longs. Then all of a sudden you wonder why your third down conversion efficiency plummets. So it's crazy how much all those things Sean Payton's really trying to focus on in that practice on Friday is actually tied to the run game. You got to get it figured out, dude. And I'm not going to say that Harvey sucks, but he's definitely not ready to be the guy, Zach, that carries the load.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I don't think he really sucks. Obviously, it's not ideal. Dobbins was the RB1, but that was always the plan. They never planned on Harvey being the guy this early in his career at this point of the season. He has a little vision concerns, like he runs inside when he should be bouncing it outside, but what he brings to the table to me has been more good than bad. But they can win without a running game because they still have the quarterback under center who wins games with his legs. He kind of makes up for the difference. That's how they made the playoffs last season, Michaela, and won 10 games. They didn't have a running game either, but they had Bo Nix. So I think of the Houston game. I think of the Giants game. You could take a game over with Bo Nix's legs, and they should be leaning on that in the postseason. But like you were saying there, it sucks without Dobbins. It sucks without a true RB1. My only tweak I would make is more Jaleel McLaughlin as RB2 and less Tyler Bidet.
Yeah, you got to bump those carry numbers up for McLaughlin, man. You look at those last 3 games You're going against a really good, as you guys saw today, it's a really good Jacksonville defense, a desperate and still very good Kansas. I guess not desperate, but a team that's, really trying. They made that Week 17 Christmas game, Zach, basically their Super Bowl for the fans. It was their last game in front of the home fans. That defense played really well in Kansas City. And then the Chargers defense, even without guys like James and Mack and everybody else, they went up against some tough defenses those final 3 games, and yet Jaleel McLaughlin averaging over 5.5 yards per carry over the course of that, while we saw, unfortunately, Zach, Harvey go from 3.5 to 3.1 to like 2.8. That it's untenable. You cannot live with, as a playoff team, your RB1, Zach. You got to get more than 2.8, 2.9 yards per carry.
You have to commit to giving them the football, though. They'll start off in the first half or first quarter, Chad, giving the running backs a ton of carries. But if you look at the box score by the end of the game, it's 15 carries combined for the running backs and 45 pass attempts for Bo Nix. Sean Payton just lets the game flow get away from him. I agree. No matter what, I don't care who they're playing. Give Harvey more carries, give McLaughlin more carries, and take some of the pressure off of Bo Nix.
Love you, Michaela. And as Jordan says here, to your point, Duchess, sometimes Harvey just doesn't have the best vision. And that's the thing about him, that hopefully it can develop and grow, because, Zach, think of how much we complained about Pookie, Javonte Williams' vision, always, stopping at the line of scrimmage and running into blockers' backs a lot. Goes to Dallas, shakes things up, whether it's him maturing, the cumulative effect of all his experience in Denver, or some special kind of coaching insight he got in Dallas. I don't know. All of a sudden, he's running out there like a Pro Bowler, like looked phenomenal all year long, got over 1,200 yards rushing. So Harvey, Zach, I think just needs more time. The good news is he's a phenomenal weapon. He can help you in so many different ways. And when he does touch the ball, he's always a threat from anywhere on the field. Take it to the house. But he lacks the vision to be able to be that reliable, consistent bell cow. And I use that term knowing, Zach, that it's not exactly the old days. And this is Sean Payton, where, a single running back's not going to carry the ball 20 plus times in a Sean Payton offense, with very few exceptions. But for Harvey, it's like, hey, if Sean Payton has it his way and the game plan goes the way he wants it to go, he's going to touch it somewhere between 14 and 16 times as a ball carrier. And then Jaleel touches it like 5 times. I think that needs to, it needs to balance more out like this. And I think you'd see better production on the ground.
Yeah, I mean, they didn't draft Harvey to be an RB1, at least this season. So to say he sucks in that role, again, is a little unfair. I understand where Michaela's coming from that. They drafted Harvey to be a productive weapon out of the backfield, and that's exactly the point I was going to make right there. His total touchdowns, not necessarily him as a rusher, but you cannot dispute the fact that he's been impactful, effective, and productive as a pass catcher. So in that sense, when you look at the expectation in reality, what the Broncos had, Chad, he's exceeding that. Just because he hasn't been Dobbins as an RB1 shouldn't be held against him.
And as Todd brings up here, I mean, RJ led all rookies in touchdowns. He had 12 total touchdowns this season, third most by a Broncos rookie running back ever. The only 2 guys who produced more on the terms of touchdowns in rookie Broncos history is the great Clinton Portis, who had one of the most epic rookie seasons of all time, and Mike Anderson, who also happened to have one of the great rookie running back seasons of all time. So, look, the production in terms of the yardage, Zach, wasn't there for Harvey, but the touchdown production, it certainly was. And that's enough to build on moving forward, but it's also enough to remain a key component, a key weapon in the Sean Payton arsenal, Zach, moving through the playoffs. But expecting him to suddenly just be a guy who sees it the way you want him to see it and pick up like Dobbins would, 4.5, 5.5 yards per carry, you can't count on that. So if you can't count on that, then you got to do something a little bit different, in my opinion. And that is, once again, as simple as include Jaleel just a little bit more.
It's because the goalposts are always moving. When the Broncos drafted Harvey, all I heard was, oh, he's too small to play in the NFL. He's not big enough to succeed in the NFL. And now he has more total touchdowns than any other rookie running back. And we're criticizing him because he's not Derrick Henry or Bijan Robinson in year one. He was never meant to be that type of player. For what he was meant to be, he has exceeded all expectations. I'm still and will be a big fan of what RJ Harvey brings to the Broncos offense.
We got George Fox checking in on Facebook, brother. Good to see you. He says, who do you think we're going to face next week? A lot of teams are hurt. Broncos for life, MHH for life, hit the thumbs up. So, George, in case you missed it, there are only two options left that the Broncos could face. If the Patriots win tonight, then the Broncos will play the Bills. If the Chargers win tonight, the Broncos will play the Chargers. That's it. End of story. Doesn't matter what happens in that Houston-Pittsburgh game. It's the lowest seed who emerges from the wild card round, moves on to face the one seed, another privilege of the one seed. And so that's why we're all on pins and needles tonight to see how this game shakes out, because if the Chargers win, that's who you're seeing next week.
Yep, exactly, George. And I think both of us are confident. A lot of people are confident around here that no matter who the Broncos face, Baltimore or LA, that they're going to be ready for that matchup.
Ronk says, play action with Bo Nix to get the run game going. That's the thing, too, as we talk about, hey, man, run game needs to be better. It's a concern of mine going into the playoffs. But if the Broncos are really going to go the distance, like what's one of the common themes that you saw from all the teams in this wild card gauntlet? And not only that, the teams that we've seen, but Zach, the ones who prevailed and are moving forward, you saw high-level quarterback play. You saw quarterbacks being, for the most part, consistent, coming up big situationally, coming up big in end of game. We don't, I think any of us have any doubt that Bo Nix is a guy who can deliver for you when the chips are down. But in the playoffs, if you wait too long to turn it on, the caliber of teams you're facing aren't the Giants. They're not going to let you back in. You know, it's going to be next to impossible for that to happen. And so a lot is riding on Bo Nix being efficient. I want to see Bo be that week 11 through week 15 version of Bo from the season. And then I think the Broncos, they can beat anybody.
Yeah, I'm not sure what I said. If I misspoke, Sam, so you'll have to apologize. I'll have to apologize for that. The thing with play action as well is all about commitment, Chad, and it starts up front. And the offensive line, they were not good in the Week 18 game. I don't care if they were taking their foot off the gas. They were committing fundamental errors and effort up front. So if they can get that fixed, they can extend down to the running game and play action, but just a matter of commitment from Sean Payton as the play caller.
We've got DJ Capo in the house. What's going on, big dog? Rocking his Broncos Bo Nix jersey and gear in the Bayou, in the home territory of the New Orleans Saints. He's checking in to say, what's up, Bronco fam? We should have gotten the Jags RB1. Zach, what are your thoughts for DJ Capo?
Broncos should have got a lot of players in hindsight, DJ Capo. I mean, I've talked about Jahdae Barron and where they could have gone in the draft instead of drafting him, but it's all hindsight now. He's a good player. He had a good year for the Jaguars. We'll have to hope that Harvey continues developing, and we'll see what they do if they bring back Dobbins in the offseason or if they go for an outside upgrade, like maybe a Travis Etienne.
We shall see. It's really good to see you, DJ. Hope you're doing well, big dog. Mike Reno says, Denver just really needs to focus on getting a quality tight end this offseason. I think that is something they got to figure out how to improve, but not just focus on tight end. Wouldn't surprise me to see him invest in that area in the draft. We'll see. We have here Doc James jumping in. Good to see you, brother. A dear member, a bona fide superstar. Thank you, buddy, for being so generous and awesome. And, of course, as well, for contributing to the conversation. As he says, bring them on. I'm more than happy to put off our slam down of New England for later. We can put the Chargers in their place only if they can beat the Pats. I'm not afraid of our offense, and we can run the ball. Come on, Buffalo. We shall see, big dog. But, Zach, I'm loving the enthusiasm. I'm loving the confidence coming from the doc here.
Yeah, Doc, thank you so much for that. And I'm happy to see that Broncos country is energized and confident, because you guys should be. I mean, they've had a chance to rest, hopefully correct the errors that we saw in Week 18, and welcoming an opponent coming off a shorter week of rest, shorter time of rest into their house. Thank you so much for that.
Here's an idea for the guys saying we need just that set and forget answer at tight end. Let's say the Broncos go all the way. And even if they don't go all the way, they're going to have a pick, Zach, in the bottom third of the first round, right? No matter what. What if they send their first round pick? Could be pick 32, could be pick 28, 29. We'll see how it all shakes out. But what if they send it to Atlanta in exchange for Kyle Pitts, a second-team All-Pro, Zach?
They want a second-round pick. They want a third-round pick. Fine. This is my preference. I'm not trading a first-round pick for Kyle Pitts. Great talent, great potential. I'm not trading a first-round pick for him.
There you go. Interesting idea. And I'm sure that's a topic that could have some legs, Scott, as we mosey into the offseason once we get there. But yeah, Doc, dude, great to see you. Thank you again for the support, big dog. And speaking of Docs, we also have another dear member here, Christopher Bush, jumping in to say one thing we know we can do is sustain a one-score win. Every game this weekend has been one-score wins. What everyone criticized us on. Didn't hear anyone complain about the one-score wins. Yeah, when the shoe's on the other foot, Zach, usually it's a different song that's being sang.
The Chiefs last season were praised for the fact that they pulled out close victories, Chad, one after the other. When the Broncos do it, suddenly they're fraudulent. That's just how it goes.
Just when I found where that string guy one go. Hold on. I was about to grab string guy and it did a little jumpy on me. Why? Let me go back to the bottom. That's where it was. And then I scrolled. I don't know. I'll find it again, Raj. Hang tight. It was in a Harvey comment. Jab 30-30. Any word on whether Greenlaw will play this game? Any word on how the Broncos assistant coaches fared in their interviews? I would like VJ to stay, but getting 2 third-round compensatory picks is good if we lose him. Zach, it sounds like, according to Coach Payton, when he was asked directly on whether he expects Dre Greenlaw back for the playoffs, he said, quote, yes. I think we see most everyone back. That then triggered the next obvious question when he said most everyone. What about J.K. Dobbins? Of course, is the first thing that comes to mind. And he said, quote, on Dobbins, no comments on him yet. He's getting close, but Dre is getting there. So Dre Greenlaw is going to be good to go. But as far as the assistant coach interviews, Zach, what have you heard on that front? Because I haven't heard anything relative to how it went, how they fared. I'm not sure that we will until and unless one of them moves forward in the next phase.
Right, or unless the team hires somebody else and they say, oh, we liked him as a candidate, but we decided to go in a different direction, yada, yada. Typical corporate speak. I don't think it went badly. I don't think Davis Webb or VJ or Darren Rizzi, who the Giants want to talk to for their head coaching job, I don't think they bombed it, or Jim Leonard, who's going to meet for the Dallas Cowboys defensive coordinator job. I think they all did pretty well. I don't know, though, that VJ is going to get the Baltimore job necessarily, or Davis Webb's going to get the Ravens job. I think they're going to go in a different direction. The last I heard was that the Cardinals or the Titans are the strongest suitors right now for VJ, but we'll see. And I'm right there with you. If they have to lose a defensive coordinator, might as well get 2 third-round picks for him.
The worst thing that could happen is if you lost VJ and Jim Leonard, but I don't think Jim Leonard is going to leave when he knows VJ's probably out the door and he's the next guy in line for a number 1 seed team. That, like, if you have ambitions, Zach, to be one of these longtime coaching guys in the NFL, maybe one day be a head coach, this is a place just like you saw with VJ in 3 short years. He went from, are you kidding me? Giving him another bite at the apple to getting all the interviews. Like, all the teams, with very few exceptions, wanted to talk to VJ this time around. So if you are Jim Leonard, I got to think that he's staying patient, waiting to see how things develop for Vance Joseph. But when VJ leaves, those third-round picks, one this year, one next year, going to be nice.
Yeah, and Sean Payton also made like an offhand comment that he expects most of his assistants back anyway. And I know that's maybe just optimism on his part, but I'd be surprised, like you were saying there, if they lost VJ and Jim Leonard. I think Leonard is staying to be the DC in waiting.
Here we go. Raj, I hope Payton cuts Nicks loose to go down the field. Michaela has a point about the run game with Dobbins. So interesting. After he was talking about, Sean Payton Friday. He said, look, honestly, well, first of all the theories that the Broncos offense was as bad as it was against the Chiefs and the Chargers because Sean Payton was basically holding things back for the playoffs. And he said, these things are tied together, so stay with me here, Raj. He said, quote, I'd like to say that, but honestly, you guys know me well enough. We're going to have to play better. I'd love to say that we pulled a bunch back, but the tape from last week wasn't really good offensively, and it wasn't great at Kansas City either. But it was good enough to win that game. We have to be sharper as we get to these next few games here because we're going to see good teams that can score and we're going to see good defenses. Then the very next question, Zach, was, do you want to see Bo Nix be more aggressive in the playoffs? And he said, do I think he needs to be more aggressive going downfield in the playoffs? A lot of that would be based on who we're playing. We want to be aggressive. We obviously want to take our shots, but a lot of it, tell me the opponent, and then it's like, all right, tell me how that's going to be done. Are they a zone team or are they a man team? We'll definitely stretch the ball down the field. We feel like we have some guys that can go down and get it. We'll be aggressive, Zach, in how we call these games, close quote. So, Raj, hopefully that's an answer for you there.
It's easy to say it. It's harder for Sean Payton to do it, apparently, which is what I was saying before. Just commit to it and actually go through with it on Saturday or Sunday, whenever the game is. But you're right, absolutely. I hope they cut him loose both as a passer and as a runner because his legs can literally single-handedly win the Broncos football games.
Look, I think last week, if you turn on and watch, I have not done this. I'm always transparent with you guys. I have not done this yet. But if you were to turn on and watch the All-22 tape from the Chargers game, for example, in the finale, I'm guessing you'd see multiple plays where Peyton had called stuff where the concept has something downfield. But when we talk about was he holding things back? He denies that he was holding things back. But the one thing he didn't deny is that they were kind of being conservative. That doesn't mean they were trying to shield or hide anything. It's like Zach and I talked about in the gut reaction. Well, that's fine. You're going to call a conservative game plan knowing you're going up against a backup quarterback and your defense is going to be able to control this thing. But you got to at least expect your offense, Zach, to execute said conservative offense. And I think going back to last week, Bo Nix, there were opportunities where he could have pushed the ball down the field. But I think he was taking the cue from his head coach, not necessarily directly where Sean's saying, do not push it downfield, but just, hey, control the clock, hold on to the ball, whatever you do, just don't give it away. We're not losing this game. And so Bo Nix only had, Zach, 2 balls that went past 10 yards in that game.
Well, if that theory is true and Sean Payton was saving plays for the postseason, it's the postseason now. So now is the time to cut Bo Nix loose. Now is the time to be creative. And now is the time not to hold anything back. And we'll see, String Guy, if that's true next weekend.
Good stuff. Thanks, Raj. Appreciate you, buddy. Jason on Facebook says, I might be in the minority, but I would prefer the Chargers on Saturday. I have, Zach, since watching Buffalo again today, vacillated. I've gone back and forth now on which would I prefer. Throughout the week, I was like, Chargers are the team I want to see least. But I'm kind of going back and forth on it. I'm still going to stick to Chargers, then Bills, but I don't know. What say you?
I still want Buffalo, man. I don't trust their history. I don't trust Josh Allen on the road in the postseason. And from what I've seen from Buffalo, they are not the same superpower as they were in 2024. I really do think, Chad, the Broncos can avenge their wild card blowout loss to them if they met at Empower Field.
Well said. Okay, guys, we're at about 48 minutes. We'll call this the 2-minute warning. This game that we're watching live here is tied up at 3. Chargers should be leading this 6-3, but they went for it on 4th down on New England's own 2-yard line. But looks like May's driving, so we'll see how it shakes out here. All right, let me see here. We got George. Do we have any idea of what the weather's supposed to be like next week? Zach, I'm not like all the dudes in my family and a lot of my friends, like they're always paying attention to the weather and the forecast. For whatever reason, that gene skipped me. Like I don't really think about it unless I'm going somewhere or I'm doing something specific or special. The weather forecast for Denver next weekend, I'll tell you what it shows us. It looks like it'll be basically kind of partly cloudy, 52 on Saturday, 49 on Sunday. So decent really nice, actually, January weather for football in the Mile High City.
Yep, no rain, no snow, it looks like, or it sounds like. So we'll see what happens.
And as Todd says, we talk about who we maybe don't want to see or who we'd like to see least, but nobody wants to face the Broncos at home. Can I get a football? Yeah. Yeah. Right back at you, big dog. And as Ronk says here, the 5280 is real. Tucson Phil, I haven't dug into the draft yet. Can you tell me what positions will have the most players available? I mean, all of them. I will tell you that being able to answer some draft questions for you will be a lot easier after January for Zach and I. Now, look, those questions, you can always ask Eric or Nick, Lance, Carl. They stay pretty on top of the draft all year round. I'm too busy to do it. But this year, once again, I'm going to the Senior Bowl with my boy, with Scott and I. We're going to do the Tommy Boy road trip once again from Atlanta to Mobile. It's going to be a gas. So I'll learn a lot about the senior class, and then we'll go to the combine again and get up to speed. But for right now, I would say, look, you can talk to us about needs. You can talk to us about some of the guys at the top, but I'm not going to lie to you and make up stuff about positions in this draft class till I know a little something more.
I'll say if the Raiders want to draft Mendoza, though, number 1 overall, please do.
Yeah, we shall see. Okay, guys, we got jumping in here real quick. Lawrence, what up, guys? What do you think of the owner saying something about the paywall? Do you know what he's talking about?
Nope.
Sorry, Lawrence. More info, bro. More info. Doc James jumping in again. Thank you, pal. He says, let him breathe 5280 and see how much Bo knows. I love our team. Went to Seattle and the Niners game. Neither impressed me. Wow. We really don't have any competition from the NFC, and I'm trusting our team. Thanks, Priest. Broncos for life. The Rams, I was kind of surprised Zach allowed the Panthers to almost take that one from them yesterday. I mean, we know the Panthers beat them in this regular season, so we probably shouldn't be that surprised, but I thought the Rams would come out and flex a little bit, and they came out on top, but it was very much in doubt. The team that worries me, I'll be honest with you, Doc, in the NFC is Seattle. That's the team to beat, guys. And I don't know, that defense, the way the quarterback's playing, the weapons they have on offense, they're going to be a tough row to hoe.
I'm right there with you. I think the NFC title game is going to be Seattle and San Francisco. I think Seattle is going to win that game. We'll see what happens there. They would scare me. I personally, selfishly, I do want to see a Niners-Broncos Super Bowl with all the ties they have between Shanahan and McCaffrey and everything. But yeah, if whoever the Broncos face coming out of the NFC, if the Broncos get that far, God willing, it's going to be a tough game, tough matchup.
If the Broncos were to get to the Super Bowl, Zach, and play either the Niners or the Seahawks, both of them would have some poetic historical implications because 55-10 Niners, back the 89 season. And then, of course, what was the final score? 48-3. Was that Super Bowl 48? Have I blocked it out? I think it was, 43-8. Hold on. I got to remind myself. I think it was 43-8. Yeah, 43-8. So it would be great to see this Sean Payton, Bo Nix iteration of the Broncos get some vengeance for either Elway and the boys or Payton and the boys.
A Super Bowl revenge game would shatter records. I'm here for that as well. Again, though, with what Mike McDonald and Sam Darnold are doing in Seattle, very impressive stuff.
Oh, okay. Lawrence is trying to clarify here. He says owner's cam saying it's crazy how much subscriptions fans have to pay, basically sticking up for the fans. Well, I mean, the owners directly control all that stuff, dude. I mean, to an extent. I guess the networks and all that control it, but it's the NFL that drives the price up on those broadcast bids year in and year out, taking it from what was it like during the Peyton Manning era, it was a $13 billion per year nut. That was a decade ago, right? It is now about a $25 billion annual nut that the owners have a say in. So That to me sounds like owners like trying to save face. I don't know exactly. I don't know what you're talking about, but Zach, it is cost a lot. Here we go. It's Babylon B, bro. NFL announces each quarter of playoff game will be broadcast on a different streaming service. Thank you, Mr. Producer. A little levity. Okay, appreciate you, Lawrence. It is a pain in the butt, though. I mean, to watch the regular season, if you're going to make sure you catch your team on everything, you either get the Sunday ticket, then you got to worry about getting Amazon Prime, Zach. Then you got to worry about, I guess, do you have YouTube TV or do you have a cable or subscription? Yeah, a lot goes into it. Duchess jumping in, last super chat of the night, and then we're going to dip on out of here. She says, heard of a TikTok of Raiders fans singing Fernando from ABBA. LOL. They really, Zach, want Mendoza. And you want them to get Mendoza.
Yeah, I want the Raiders to stay bad because they're the Raiders. We should all want the Raiders to stay bad. And I don't know that Mendoza is number one draft pick material. I think he's being propped up because it's a weaker quarterback class coming out, and he's the best of the bunch. We'll see. We'll see how that shakes out. A lot of time between now and the draft, Michaela. But yeah, he's not going to be some generational talent, and they'll be looking for a new quarterback, I think, in a few years from now. Thank you.
Apparently, Tom Brady is going to be very involved in that decision, what they do with the one pick. So it'll be interesting to see how it shakes out. But that's funny, Michaela. All right, guys, we got a few messages for you. And then we're going to dip out while the Chargers and Patriots are still rolling.
Tremendous episode, as always, of the Mile High Huddle podcast. If you're not doing so, please follow us on X at the MHH Pod. You can follow the main account on X at Mile High Huddle, Chad at Chad and Jensen, myself at Kelberman NFL, and Scott, our producer, at Scout Kennedy. If you guys want some merch like we're rocking each and every single podcast, check out MHHmerch.com. Get you some. If you haven't done so yet, please drop us a like at Facebook.com/Mile High Huddle Pod. You can find us on Instagram at Mile_High_Huddle. If you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, make sure you're leaving your football pre-save 5-star review for a chance to win some merch each and every single month. But if anything, y'all, please, very important as always that you subscribe, you like, you share this video and every video you see on the MHH channel. It really helps us grow and reach more Broncos fans just like you.
Don't forget, guys, tomorrow night we're unveiling the 2025 MHH Superstar Mount Rushmore Top 20. It's going to be fun. Make sure you're there with us tomorrow night. Mile High salute. Special shout out to all the great Super Chat superstars and supporters and members helping us keep the lights on. Like Michaela, multiple very generous supers. Sam Bam at the top of the show. Eric Holt, the Boot Boy, Tucson Phil, George Fox, DJ Capo. Good to see you, pal. Doc, multiple supers. Appreciate each and every one of you guys. And Zach and I will see you tomorrow. And by then we will know. In fact, tonight, before we all lay our heads down and go to sleep, we're going to know who the Broncos will face next week. It's either the Chargers or the Bills. Time will tell. But have a great start to your week, guys. See you tomorrow.
We will see you tomorrow. Have a good rest of your Sunday. Take care. And as always, go Broncos.